If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Streamed and Screened, an entertainment podcast about movies and TV from Lee Enterprises. I'm Terry Lipschutz, managing editor of the National Newsroom at Lee and co-host of the program with Bruce Miller, editor of the Sioux City Journal and a longtime entertainment reporter. And you're back. You survived New York.
I made it. 7 shows, 4 days, one mad sister. I mean, and it rained the whole time. But it's hopping. Man, people are going to shows like crazy. Celebrities are too, because this is Tony season. And so they want to see everything. They want to vote for everything. And so every night you'd see somebody sitting somewhere.
Were you star-crossed? Did you get to see anybody?
Right in front of us, Martin Short and Andrea Martin. I go, ooh, is this a new couple? What happened to Meryl? And this guy next to me said, no, they're related because Martin's late wife is related to Andrea's ex-husband, I believe is how it goes.
Okay.
But she brought a pillow, and I thought for sure I wouldn't have to worry about like looking over her head. No, she boosted up, I must say.
Was Martin Short? I mean, did you interact with him in any way, or was he just kind of there? Did you like? No. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
No, I did.
I'm sorry for kicking your seat.
Yeah. Oh, what was that? No, and he seemed very friendly. There was somebody who came up and asked him if he could get a picture with him later in the night, and he said, "I'd be offended if you didn't ask me." And so he seemed to be very nice to people who were doing that. But of course, I'm so above that. I of course wouldn't do that. No. I'll just take the pillow that she was sitting on and take it home.
I guess it is good, though, to see, because it goes one of two ways. You either will get the celebrity who will practically tear your face off to be left alone, or it's the other direction where, I would be offended if you didn't ask, that kind of, and it's like you're probably asked a million times a day. You can't go anywhere and not be asked.
That they're going to be shuttled out some side door, so he wouldn't see the person anyway.
Yes.
But he seemed very bubbly.
Not surprising.
I think it's because he's right now the leading candidate for Best Actor in a Comedy for Only Murders in the Building. And so I think that, a little campaigning doesn't hurt during Tony season.
You never know who that person is. That could have been a voter. Somebody
could have been a voter.
No clue who it is, but it's actually a voter. And maybe that's why you got to be nice.
Yeah.
Always be nice to people, Bruce. That's
ABN.
Right. Always be nice. But yeah, what was so you said your sister a little unhappy at times?
Because
you sprung that extra show?
Yeah, we got O'Mary, which is about Abraham Lincoln and his wife who wants to be a cabaret artist. She loved it. She thought it was wonderful. She didn't say, well, we're not going to another show then because we've seen 2 in this day. So she was good, but she wanted to see more things, where we go to some, I don't know, the Walk of Fame or whatever the hell it is.
Sure.
The weather was too bad. It was just raining the whole time. Right next to our hotel, though, there was a thing called I'm Donut. Have you heard of I'm Donut?
No, I have not.
It's a new donut shop that started in Japan, and it has real odd flavors of donuts. Okay. But the line was so long, you couldn't get in to go and even get a donut. And it closed at 4:00 every day. So we just looked in the window at the I'm Donut and called it good. I had a cookie.
A cookie? Were they expensive?
Oh, yeah. The cookies were $5. The donuts were $4.
I will say, I don't blame you for not getting out and about if it's raining in New York, because if there's one thing that's truly unpleasant about New York, and I'm from there, that's my birth city. I love it, but I hate it in the rain. It smells funny. It's just
it's slipping on the
you
streets.
slip
Yeah.
everywhere. I mean, you start getting that runoff on your shoes. It's kind of gross. Again, I love the city dearly, but it's not the best place to be. And it's even worse. Like this time of year, it's probably not too bad, but I can tell you if you're in the middle of the city in July or August when it's 90 degrees and 140% humidity and it starts raining, you would wish you're anywhere else. Like Disney World in Orlando, middle of the day with the sun out would be better than New York in the rain.
In the show Sunset Boulevard, it's a revival. They have a part where Tom Francis, who plays Joe Gillis, I believe, comes out of the theater and walks all around the theater district, and they film him doing this, and you're in the theater watching this happen, and you can see where people are trying to come in. They got guards pushing people away, and he sings the song Sunset Boulevard, but it's raining, and so then you think he's gonna fall, something's gonna happen to him here. He made it. He was good. So I was very thrilled. But I must say that there were more Stitches this time because Lilo and Stitch is out. And so people dressed as Stitch were in abundance on the street.
Sure. Yes.
There was only one naked cowboy and at
Okay.
least about 6 Stitches.
Yeah. I will say, like, I don't mind the naked cowboy because now I know there's probably more than one at this point, but some of
It's
those,
cold.
yeah, some of those characters though get aggressive, and they're not. These aren't like if anybody thinks like, oh, it's nice that Disney sends those out there. They're
No.
not. These are unsanctioned.
And the outfits are chewed. They're real
They're not.
bad.
They're bad. I mean, it's just you and I. We could run to a costume store, rent something or buy something, and then just go out and it's basically like semi-legal panhandling.
And they get mad if you don't pay them.
Right.
They want your kids to take a picture with them. And so they're
Yep.
kind of as Spider-Man. Spider-Man is very aggressive. And he'll get
Yes.
down there and then if you don't give him money, it's like, no, this is $20. $20 for this picture. And in order to get him away from you, you have to give him $20.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
never them and also
No.
the bus people who are trying to sell you this trip on the bus. You know that thing is $100 to go on that bus?
The hop on, hop off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not cheap, but it is the whole day. You really can make it pretty far on that bus. I did it with my wife years and years ago, and we made it all the way from like Midtown. We ended up at the South Street Seaport for a few hours. We made it back up to Empire State Building. We were all over the place, and we enjoyed it. And I don't disagree with you that it's expensive, but other than the subway
Yeah.
you're like once you start factoring in cabs and stuff,
Right.
you're really it's not that horrible.
Cabs are stupid because they barely move on the streets.
Yes, and you're gonna pay an arm and a leg. Yep.
The subway used to be kind of hard to scan that Metro card,
Yeah.
and then it would like not go, and then you'd be stopped, and then you think, well, do I have enough of the money? Now they've got kind of one that you just hold on, and it goes.
Okay.
And it's
all right.
great. I love it. The new
Yeah.
one is the best.
Yeah. And I will say too, if you've never been to New York, if you just take a look at a New York City subway map before you get there, it's very easy to navigate.
Oh yeah.
Like you don't need to. I know people get freaked out. Oh, it's a subway. It's literally like if you look at a subway map, it's as simple as the map looks. It's not,
Right.
sometimes you look at a map and like, oh, that looks easy, and then it's that desk you're putting together, and you're like, oh, this looks easy, and it takes you 12 hours. No, the New York City subway system, it's very easy to follow. The lettering, the numbering, where places are going. And in most cases, the worst thing that will happen is you stay on a train a little too long, and you end up somewhere where you can easily double back to somewhere that makes sense, like Grand Central Station, Times Square, and you just like there's a couple of those stations which have almost every line. Penn Station, almost every line crosses through it at some point. So worst case scenario, you end up in one spot, you just hop off, you go back the other direction, you get back to where you started, and you can easily figure it out. And once you're there, you can transfer. So it's easy.
My sister was thrown by the uptown downtown thing. I said,
Okay.
well, if we're going up, it's uptown. If we're going down, it's downtown.
Right.
So you just have to look at the map and see if it looks down or up. We found an Amish choir singing in the subway.
Oh, well, that's fun.
Yeah, a religious song, so it didn't really portend a lot of money was coming out of the pockets for that one,
Yeah,
but
sure.
they were good and I felt safe, so what the hell.
Yeah,
And then
there you go.
also there were all those sailors there, and the sailors are going to Broadway shows now.
Oh,
So either
okay.
somebody's giving them free tickets
Mm.
or they become a little more cultured on the ship.
You got to do. You're stuck on that ship forever. You need some culture when you get off of it for a while.
We've got to see Cabaret.
There you go. Exactly. So, you had that. I had a weekend of getting caught up on some things. So first off, finished off The Last of Us.
And is it the last of
Ah,
you?
no, I'll be back, but we ended on a cliffhanger. It was one of those
Oh,
Sopranos almost like at least it's not done forever, but it's, there was a gunshot, like a cut to black and then a flashback.
and then you think, when will they get the next one done?
Right. And it's like, all right, well, what actors are confirmed for season three? And, we got to figure this out. I think the season was kind of uneven. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but, a certain main character
Is gone.
is gone. So, we won't be seeing
That
that
person.
person again. There are some questions about the other main character. Have you watched much of the season?
Yeah.
Are you into it?
Yeah.
So, like Bella Ramsey's character, like I like her as an actor. I didn't love her in this season though. I just
She's the most hated woman in America right now.
that's interesting. Like from the show or just
Yeah, I mean because of the character.
okay. It's like it's such an unlikable character. It really is. You're kind of at some point, yeah, I'd be good with you getting killed. Like I hate to say it, but it's just and part of it is she's a teenager in the show, right? So it's like,
Oh,
how teens are, they're rebellious, they don't
right.
listen to you, but she's so obnoxious and so self-absorbed and so self-centered and everything's about her that it's really hard like when you're in a situation where it's all about community, it's all about the best
Working
of
together. Yeah.
working together and she is all about herself. And then even in like near the end where we kind of got a flashback episode to better understand her relationship with Joel, how he rescued her from season one. So it's like, did she know what happened? Didn't she know? And we found out she knew. And she had issues with that. She didn't like the fact that, like I wasn't meant to be rescued. Yet she's on this vengeance mission because of it. So it's really it was very strange. I don't know how I feel about it overall. Like I thought, in general the show was good. It wasn't as good as season one.
How many episodes were in season one?
Around 9 or 10.
Because seven seems kind of skinchy to me.
Yeah, it was a quick season.
That's one of those ones where they finally will have like two Christmas episodes that we'll be bringing to you. And then they actually had done them before, but this is a way to stretch it out a little bit.
Now, I don't know the video game. My understanding here is that, season one was basically the entirety of that first video game, more or less. Season two, the sequel video game. And supposedly season three will pick up with still that second video game. And they're talking about like maybe a season four, which will continue with the same source material.
And they'll do Madden. It'll be the Madden game,
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Who will be on the cover?
right? Who's still around, right?
Right. Yeah. So it was interesting. I'm disappointed that yeah, it felt like it was a quick season. It needed one more episode. I don't like shows ending on cliffhangers unless you can guarantee me a new season. You can't end on a cliffhanger anymore.
Sure.
There's just too many shows are volatile, and you need to give me something very complete. So yeah, I'm kind of mixed on that. I still have one episode to go on The Handmaid's Tale, which just wrapped up.
Don't you kind of get how that's going to end?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the penultimate episode took out a lot of characters,
Right.
which didn't surprise me. I didn't feel like I had a few friends that, I saw sharing on social media. They were kind of disappointed that a certain character who was kind of playing both sides was killed. And it didn't bother me, like, because even there, none of those characters are good people. It would be like saying, like, oh, I was disappointed that Nazi was executed at the end of World War II. These are all awful human beings from Gilead.
They're all Nazis.
They're all Nazis, and they're all very bad people. Some of them, though, are playing the game, I think, because they know that the end is near and they're trying to position themselves, right? Like the Bradley Whitford character, he was one of the architects of Gilead. He's not a good person. He was showing some compassion to June and some of the handmaids, which I think showed that he had some humanity left in him, but he's still not a good person. And all he was doing, I think, was trying to prevent himself from being executed by like a UN tribunal after the fact. That's really what his play was. And I think to be, disappointed that any individuals are survive or don't, I'm fine with them all kind of going.
All of you get the hell out of here.
Right.
It's one of those things when you look back at World War II and you think, how did those people not stand up against the Nazis and say, this is wrong? But you get it when you watch a show like this. You think, well, what's going to happen to me? And so what do? They just keep quiet. And I think it's trying to tell us a story that we have to be a little bolder in our references to these things.
Yeah. I will say one thing too, and this goes for The Last of Us, this goes for Handmaid's Tale, this goes to any show. I think all of these shows, I'm hoping Last of Us doesn't go down the road of lasting too long, because I think, like, and we talked about this previously about Handmaid's Tale, of it just going on
a 2-year break.
Right. It takes too long to make. There's too many seasons. It should have been, like, it would have been much crisper if they maybe would have kept it to 4. It took too long. Take a cue from Game of Thrones. No character should be sacred. That's what made Game of Thrones one of the best shows on TV ever. It's also what made The Sopranos one of the best shows on TV ever. You can't be afraid to kill off one of your main characters.
So kill those main characters.
Let
them go. It's like that ABC had, it was a Blue Sky.
Mm-hmm.
It was and they had this big kind of campaign about, and Ryan Phillippe will be starring in Blue Sky. He's dead after the first episode.
Yeah.
Who knew? But he was willing to do the publicity, and it, bought it so that people would tune in the first week.
Your best thing is I know it's disappointing to say goodbye to a favorite character. You never want to, but I also think it adds to the drama, and it just makes for better TV when you're willing to eliminate a character before you think they will.
Right. Well, and when they're based on something that maybe they didn't die,
right,
that's hard.
Yeah.
They do have now with Handmaid's Tale, Margaret Atwood's follow-up book that they're doing.
Yep.
So there's a chance for some of those characters to come back, and you'll still get an opportunity to see them. I mean, they'll wring every dime they can out of these things.
Of course.
If you're a lineman in charge of keeping the lights on, Grainger understands that you go to great lengths and sometimes heights to ensure the power is always flowing, which is why you can count on Grainger for professional-grade products and next-day delivery, so you have everything you need to get the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
In honor of Military Appreciation Month, Verizon thought of a lot of different ways we could show our appreciation, like rolling out the red carpet, giving you your own personal marching band, or throwing a bumping shindig. At Verizon, we're doing all that in the form of special military offers. That's why, this month only, we're giving military and veteran families a $200 Verizon gift card and a phone on us with a select trade-in and a new line on select unlimited plans. Think of it as our way of flying a squadron of jets overhead while launching fireworks. Now that's what we call a celebration, because we're proud to serve you. Visit your local Verizon store to learn more. $200 Verizon gift card requires smartphone purchase $799.99 or more with new line on eligible plan. Gift card sent within 8 weeks after receipt of claim. Phone offer requires $799.99 purchase with new smartphone line on Unlimited Ultimate or Postpaid Unlimited Plus. Minimum plan $80 a month with autopay plus taxes and fees for 36 months. Less $800 trade-in or promo credit applied over 36 months. 0% APR. Trade-in must be from Apple, Google, or Samsung. Trade-in and additional terms apply.
So now another franchise ended. Maybe.
Dum 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 dum.
Did you get to see it this weekend?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
I did too.
I was surprised at how many time things they have in there. You have, well, of course, there's the one that we always know. You have 5. This will do self-destruct in 5 seconds. But then they go, we have 72 hours. You must do this within 72 hours. And then you have 10 minutes to do this. There's a millisecond that you have to clip this.
Yes.
It was all these times. And I'm thinking, well, what if somebody just says, I'm going to go get something to eat.
Yep.
We're fine. They did an awful lot of flashbacks to old shows,
right?
Old versions of Mission. And you go, oh, I forgot that Philip Seymour Hoffman was in this thing.
Right.
I thought they might try a little harder of connecting it all, but they didn't. They did do a great thing with connecting a singular character. And I can't say much more than that. But if you go, when we go to the icy place, if I'm not clicking in, and then they show the flashback to that scene with the guy and the thing.
Yes.
I thought that was good.
Yes, and it was nice. I think we're thinking the same thing. A certain character who is maybe only in one movie previously,
right?
Getting substantially more screen time the second time around. I did enjoy it. So we were getting our popcorn. We were refilling the big bucket.
All right.
And your doppelganger, who works at my local AMC, is. I always like to go to him because he's on top of it. He's just like you are, and he also takes care of us because he not only gives us our popcorn bucket, but he is willing to refill one of the old buckets immediately rather than make us come back, after we finish the first one.
This is a Mission Impossible bucket. No.
So he was talking. He's like, "What are you going to go see?" And we're like, "Well, we're going to go see Mission." And he's like, "It's great. I just saw it a few days ago. You're going to love it. They did a really nice job with the flashbacks and showing past characters, and I thought it was nice. I thought that this was a good send-off movie. I mentioned to my family because we had just watched all of the Daniel Craig Bond films with my kids in the last few weeks. They haven't seen the early ones. Like my wife and I went to see some of the ones with Pierce Brosnan together. I'm a huge Bond fan. I've seen every movie multiple times. I love them. I wouldn't say I love them all, but I love most of them a lot. The one thing that I said to them with Bond, and it kind of played out with the Mission series, is it seems like every time they introduce a Bond, that first movie is kind of low key, right? It's like, Bond, he's a secret agent, he does his thing, traditional ways, and then by the time you're bowing out, you've got like invisible cars and crazy gadgets and things. It's like, what is going on here? And I felt the same way about Mission Impossible, that if you go back to that very first movie, it's not believable the way he broke into the CIA, but it still felt more believable than these last two ones. Like these last two Reckoning ones are just so over the top ridiculous.
Where do you find a biplane?
Right.
Are there biplanes all over the place and two will travel together?
Exactly. Well, when you're going analog, you need the biplane.
Now, did you see it in IMAX?
No, we just went to the normal theater.
I would love to see what it looked like in IMAX.
Yeah.
I do think it was too long.
Yes.
I think it could have been chopped a little.
My bladder was ready to explode.
I went.
You got up and
I
went.
felt, after we had like a big high point, I thought, talking is coming.
Yeah.
Now is the time to run to the bathroom. You'll be back. And I was right.
Yeah.
So just know if they have a good action sequence, there's talking that comes right after that. And is Tom trying to be a Calvin Klein model?
Yeah, I know.
He was in those boxer briefs for quite a long period of time, and I'm thinking, the Mission Impossible is coming up, the new line.
Yeah. So it was a little bit crazy.
Can I bitch about one more thing?
Sure.
Pardon me
for
saying
it.
that, but there you go. Who has a war room with a basketball gym clock on the wall. And it's like counting down how many hours and days they've got left. Really?
Yeah.
Is this what we do with these leftover basketball gym clocks? We put them in these war rooms,
do.
and they were doing that stuff that they did in World War II,
Right.
where they were moving like ships and stuff
Yeah.
on a big map.
I know.
Is anybody not using a computer anymore?
No, they are. You know who my favorite character was in this movie?
It's the wife of the guy in wherever the Bering Strait or wherever.
She was good.
were.
I enjoyed her too. That was fun.
I liked her.
I had one character though who I absolutely loved in this movie, who's been in another one of my favorite shows recently, and I was telling my wife, like, you know who's in this movie? It's Milkchick from Severance. The actor Tremel Tillman. He played the submarine commander that Tom Cruise has to connect with and get him into the Bering Sea, right? So, and I love his character in Severance because he's just so calm, like, Helly D or Helly R, whatever her name is in the show.
Right.
Always just talking in this calm voice. And Tom Cruise gets onto the submarine, and it's like Milkchick just shows up, and he's talking just like Milkchick. It's Milkchick is a submarine captain. I was waiting for him to go like, "You've earned a melon party for," because if you've ever seen the show, it's about these weird rewards like melon parties and waffle parties and stuff. It's like, Tom Cruise, you just survived the Bering Sea. You're getting a waffle party. He was fun in it, but he was very much in character from another program.
Then there's a guy who was a crook in the last one, and suddenly we were cutting him a break in this one.
Yeah.
I mean, the gun would have come out and I would have shot him right away.
Right.
Enough with this. And I love how they want to toy with them.
Yeah.
I will put you tied up in the basement and then I will talk you to death.
Right.
I will walk around you and tell you, like, no, just shoot him.
Yeah.
Just shoot him. That's all you have to do.
Exactly.
But with the time, the time kind of coordinate thing, a millisecond. You got to snip this in a millisecond. We got 3 seconds to run to that room. Yep. It was so open to anything bad happening.
Right.
And then I loved when Tom pulled out a tooth. And if I bite down on this tooth, we're all going to be dead. Oh my God, that's why he has those teeth. All these years he's been hiding this tooth that could destroy all of us.
That's right. There you go.
Who knew?
Yeah. Overall, what did you think? Did you enjoy the movie?
Yeah, if it weren't so long. You know me, if it's over 2 hours, I start getting panicky. And this was almost 3 hours.
Yes.
I did enjoy it. I think that I could have enjoyed it more if they were a little clearer about the tie-in to the last one. Because the last one had all this kind of nebulous stuff about the entity.
Right.
And then now the entity is just kind of, it's just AI and he's going to nuke the whole world.
Right.
That's what we're going to
Yeah.
do. And then this Gabriel, wherever he came from, it was down to him. Well, if it's just him, let's just shoot him right now and not worry about any of our little things we've got to stick into this or put into that.
Exactly.
Maybe the timing that they had off helped them so that then we didn't really... Did I remember how that was supposed to be? I don't remember.
Yeah. I thought it was...
But no, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It was a good popcorn movie. I'll put it down. It was a solid entry into a franchise. I think it's a franchise that may have even overtaken the James Bond franchise in the last 25 years. I think the Bond franchise has been kind of in a weird place because whether it's the cost to make the films or just the producers have taken way too much time in between to do things.
Everybody has been mentioned as a possible James Bond.
Yeah, it's just
so
you just got to do it. Like either recast and let's get going again, or just be done. And I would you've done 25 mostly solid entries into that series. You can be done with it. And the last movie ended in a way where you can certainly be done with it. But if we're not done with it and Amazon owns it, you better give me something soon because I'm getting tired here. And I'm not convinced that this is the last Mission Impossible. I think it's possible Tom Cruise comes back for another. Maybe he's not the main character. Like maybe it gets handed over to a new generation of agents.
He can be the Peter Graves, where he sets it all up and then lets the kids do it.
Yeah.
I want to know what insurance company says, sure, Tom, You can go do those stunts. That's fine.
know.
We're fine with it.
Yep.
If you just sign here.
Yeah. I will say though, I also thought that this was one of the more predictable ones. Like I probably tapped my wife on the shoulder half a dozen times and was like, this is gonna happen right now. And it happened. It's like there's no there was nothing, we figured it out. I mean, there was no mystery.
We've lost that suspense that happens if it doesn't happen.
Yep.
We know it's going to happen. It has to happen. That's what Mission Impossible is.
Yeah.
But maybe they should have had a few flubs before they got to that. So then oh, Nick Offerman. What about him now? Let's do something there.
Yeah. So this was basically the start of. I mean, I know we've had a few other movies that have crept out in the last few weeks, but this is kind of the official. We'll say that this movie
starting.
and Lilo and Stitch were kind of like the launching pad for the summer movies. You didn't get to see Lilo, right?
Not yet. And it's both of them are making huge money from this weekend. I think what it tells us is that there is a place for family films because parents need to take their kids to something, and over the holidays is a perfect time to do it. And then there's something for everybody else that doesn't want to mess with kids. They should quit doing like one movie a week as their thing because there's no momentum.
No.
And maybe you need a cheap one.
Yeah.
Maybe you need one that's made with 50 cents and it's nothing. And then you have a big blockbuster one. And then you have one that maybe is a horror film or fills another genre.
Yeah.
But I think you need that to get those places going. And we noticed that there wasn't a problem getting a seat.
The theater was fairly full I wouldn't say full, but there were a decent number of people in the theater for a 12:30 Monday matinee. We were the youngest people there by far. It was a very old crowd there, and my kids, I think, were the only kids in the theater.
Is that Bruce over there?
But I think I agree with you. We can do that rotation of every few weeks. We can go and try to kill it with a blockbuster, but getting some other genres out there. And I also liked what happened a few weeks ago with Star Wars. You're busting out a film on an anniversary, so like maybe they should have busted out like a Jaws for the 50th anniversary and put that back out there. Maybe you need to, with Jurassic Park coming out later this summer, maybe bring out the original one for a limited run. Like I think people will go back to the theater for some of these classic movies, and they did. I mean, if you look at some of the highest grossing films of this year, that Star Wars film is one of them, and it's 20 years old.
Back to the Future had a good run this year,
don't be afraid to bust out a classic, and it'll, you don't have to leave it out there for 6 weeks. It could be a 1 week, 2 week run. Just create some excitement or something. Before we kind of close off with this one, with at the start of the theater, the summer season, quite a few trailers in the movie for films that I think could be pretty hot this year. I'm going to just throw a few of these out, get your reaction on them.
Sure.
And like my reaction as well. Like one of the ones which I think is potential, I think could be a very big movie this year is that Brad Pitt F1 movie. It looks pretty good.
And that's one that Tom Cruise has mentioned several times in promoting Mission, is that, no, we've got other ones out there and Brad's got one coming. And I think he still keeps going with the action films, even though maybe he doesn't need to.
Yeah, and it reminds me a lot of another big action film of a similar feel, which had Tom Cruise in it, and that was Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder,
right?
sure.
And that was, you think about it, Days of Thunder, when that came out in the summer of 1990, NASCAR was a popular sport, but it really put it into the forefront. Like I think it reinvigorated a sport which had kind of I don't want to say it, it's very Dixieland, right? Like it's Southern America. It is, because that's what you associate.
Smokey and the Bandit.
Right, it's Smokey and the Bandit. And I think it brought the sport to mainstream America. And I think F1 has that potential also of taking a sport that's largely European and introducing it into the American culture. It looks good. I want to see it. I don't think my wife does, but I do.
You mentioned European, and that reminds you of that old joke.
Yeah.
If you're American before you go to the bathroom and you're American after you come out of the bathroom, what are you when you're in the bathroom?
European.
There you go. Sorry.
Oh,
old joke. Sorry.
Man.
But I saw an extended version of the Superman one that showed more characters.
Yeah.
There was a big bunch of scenes with Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor. And you can see there's an evilness to him that we haven't gotten in the brief glimpses that they've shown of that. There's more for Lois Lane in that. So I'm seeing a little more than just the dog and Superman. What was a good one that we didn't even know was happening?
Naked Gun.
Yeah, who knew that this was going to be a reboot?
Where did this come from? I
don't remember
nothing about this
saying
one. Nothing.
Mm-mm.
This is insane.
Liam Neeson in the Leslie Nielsen role. Right. They do pick up all of the characters that you remember from Naked Gun,
including
one that I don't want to spoil it because even sometimes the trailer is fun.
Watch the trailer. Go watch the trailer for the new Naked Gun movie, because I think as soon as this aired, right, and you realize like he's like, Frank Drebin. Leslie Nielsen says it like Frank Drebin, Police Squad, and you're thinking to myself, well, what about
right?
Nordberg?
Will they have all
of them? Like, you kind of cringe when you watch those old movies now every time OJ comes out, but. Yeah, go watch the trailer because that gets addressed. That movie looks so stupid, and it's a Seth MacFarlane movie, but I want to see it. I got to see it.
That's what we need is a stupid film in with that mix as well.
Yep. Another one that's kind of on that mix is this new Jurassic Park movie, because we thought that the series was kind of done, but this is sort of a spinoff. It's not a true like sequel to the
Jurassic World,
right?
Rebirth, is that what it's called?
Yeah, something like that.
It's, and it'll pick up, but it goes to another island,
right?
So it's not the island where they ran amok, because I think they got rid of them,
right?
But it's where the original tests were done to create the dinosaurs, and they're even worse.
Yep, I do want to see it because I love watching.
I love a good dinosaur film.
All those movies I can't not watch. So that's out there, and that one's on my list. There was a Wes Anderson film. All of his movies are so weird. I still haven't seen Asteroid City, which I don't know why, but his movies are so weird, but I kind of get drawn into them. The Phoenician Scheme, that's from Wes Anderson. So that's coming out this summer, and it has that same style, and it's kind of like that same group of people that always show up in Wes Anderson film. So I know Bill Murray, he didn't make it into the last one, right? The Asteroid City, because of a health reason or something. And that's why I think Tom Hanks got his role in it, maybe.
So let's go with that. That sounds good.
Yeah, it does sound good. So yeah, I don't know. It looks like a decent run. I don't know if any of these scream Oscar, but it seems like a good summer for some possible movies here.
It's time for more popcorn.
I'm getting my money's worth out of that bucket this summer.
You are, and especially since you have an insider that'll help you.
That's right. Your friend.
Load them up.
Load them up.
I need a little more.
All right. Well, on that note, we are about to end what is probably the longest episode ever of Streamed and Screened. We'll be back again next week.
If you work as a manufacturing facilities engineer, installing a new piece of equipment can be as complex as the machinery itself. From prep work to alignment and testing, it's your team's job to put it all together. That's why it's good to have Grainger on your side. With industrial-grade products and next-day delivery, Grainger helps ensure you have everything you need close at hand through every step of the installation. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Llegaron los nuevos McCrispy Strips, listos para aventurarse en la mezcla de mayo ketchup, la barbecue que quedó en el fondo de la cajita, Hot Fudge Sundae y en la nueva Creamy Chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Los nuevos McCrispy Strips, ahora en McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.